Sometimes the world seems filled with opportunity, while other times the doors are all shut. So on the rare occasion when one of those doors does open, how do you find the courage to step through? I got the chance to sit down with one woman who has made the most of an open door, and she's now paying it forward by creating opportunities for others. Join me now as we go on a gorgeous reflection of creating opportunity.
So yeah, I've had 3 careers so far, all very different as well. I think people are sometimes quite surprised by that. So I had 10 really fun years in the bank, and that's where I met the father of my kids. And so that was kind of the next phase of my career. Was I stayed home with my kiddos till the youngest was 3, and then I answered an ad in the paper to go and work part-time in a preschool, and the bonus was I could take my daughter with me. And then the owner of the preschool was looking for someone who believed as passionately as she did in preschool education, which I do. Like it really is the formative years, and the best gift you can give a child is that great start in life, learn to read, let them, kind of really go out into the world with a great background. And then with another friend of mine, ended up buying that preschool, taking it over, and then very quickly opening a second one, and that's what happened. I actually still have parents who find me on Facebook to tell me what an amazing start their kids had. So then, I guess, fast forward to 2002, and an ex-boyfriend, actually someone I went to high school with, came back into my life. He'd moved to America, built a really successful business. We bumped into each other, and the rest, as they say, is history. So we moved to Austin. And for the first couple of years, I actually worked in philanthropy. And then our hometown team in England, and he's now my ex-husband, he had a share in a Premier League team. They were looking for an affiliate in America and asked us if we would find something for them. So that was when we started looking at the soccer landscape and what did that even mean. We couldn't find what we thought they wanted, so we literally sat down over the breakfast table one morning and said, why don't we just start a club ourselves? I don't know, we're both dreamers, we're both entrepreneurs, and I think it was, well, why not? And so off we went. And it failed in Austin. We didn't have the support that we have here in Orlando, in every sense of that word. And so in 2011, that's when we moved the team here. We've quickly found what an amazing city this is, how it loves to come around people, how it loves to collaborate, how it loves to support. And that was everything from Mayor Dyer and the government side, to the media, to the business community, and then obviously to the soccer community. The fans found us and, they became part of our family. And so, I guess the rest is history.
And the rest is history, as they say, resulting in Orlando City Soccer, one of Orlando's bright, shining sports teams. Now, I asked Kay, when she had that first failure in Austin, how she found the courage to step forward again, to try again when so many of us allow failure to keep us down.
I think when we first started talking about the club, because we'd both had businesses ourselves before, I think that was a real help, because we at least understood, it wasn't quite as simple as I've made it sound, that there were things to weigh up. So it was sit down with a pros and cons list. And then I think with the cons, really it's looking at what can you live with? So what is the worst thing that could happen? And we were very fortunate. We were in a financially stable point in our lives. And so the worst thing that could happen was, okay, we may lose a certain amount of money, but if it doesn't work, okay, we'll go back to the drawing board and we'll find something else. But I think we're, certainly for myself, you know, I have a very even-keeled, I'm a very optimistic person. So I am the person who will be like, well, it's all going to work out in the end. I know it is. And so I think we were a good balance of that, where that's the piece I would bring was, yeah, we can do this. Like, we're absolutely going to do it. We're going to make this work. So even when it failed, instead of it making us say, oh, well, that's it, we'll go back and try something else, we knew by that point that we had a good thing. We were just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Having finally found the right place at the right time, Kay is fully committed to making Orlando a better community and place to live.
I think for me, one of the things is I have come to absolutely love Orlando. This is my home. And so I think it's incumbent on all of us to do whatever we can to improve the community that we live in. We hear the news, we read the news, and it feels overwhelming. It feels like there is so much need out there and so many things to fix that people get stuck, and instead of doing something, they do nothing. And so my message then was, you can do something, and don't think that you need to strike a check. You know, all of these nonprofits that are out there, they need volunteers, they need talent. Maybe you can revamp their website for them or do a video for them to, you know, gain more awareness for them. We can all do something. You know, there's tons of nonprofits doing amazing work. And, you know, I think for us as an organization, we decided what made the most sense was doing something around health and wellness. So soccer is a very cardiovascular sport. It's something everyone can play, and anywhere. You know, I grew up as a kid, you know, somebody would have the ball, you'd throw a couple of sweaters down on the floor and there was the goal, and off you went and played. That became our kind of mission, was to provide access. We know a lot of kids in some of these underserved neighborhoods don't have access. They can't afford the equipment, they can't afford the coaching fees. So we started building little mini pitches. So they're usually a converted tennis court, that kind of size. Obviously with goals, we provide all the equipment that they need, and then the coaching and everything is free, the programming is free. And then the spin-off from that, which has become actually one of the kind of really fun, interesting pieces of what we do now, we were teaching nutrition. Same thing with these kiddos in these urban areas, and then again realized that access, where it is there again, there was very little access to fresh, healthy food. So we went to the City of Orlando, we spoke with their Greenworks department, and so the very first community garden we did is near Camping World Stadium. It was 20 beds. Raised beds, like 10 by 4, and then 20 families were able to adopt a bed. And since then, I think we're over 20 something gardens now. Some are as small as 3 beds, and they're in a community center where we've got a mini pitch, all the way to, we actually did one with Florida Abolitionists, who they take care of victims of human trafficking. And gardening is a very therapeutic exercise for them to be involved in. So it's been one of the really kind of interesting, fun things. People are like, you're a soccer team and you do gardens? But it makes sense. It makes sense to me in the, you know, the health and wellness kind of piece of this. It makes it a very holistic thing.
Looking at our community as a whole makes sense, but Kay is also passionate about creating opportunities for women.
So I love that we have a women's team. We started in 2016. A I think people will remember because Alex Morgan was one of our first players and has obviously gone on to be, you know, such an ambassador for the game, and also a spokesperson for equality, equal rights, and for taking care of women in the sport. Since then, we've obviously had, you know, lots of other players who've also made a huge mark here in Central Florida. I'm really excited about this year. So we just appointed a new GM. Her name's Haley Carter. You will get to know this name. You should get to know this name. She went into the Marines. So she did 8 years, I think it was, 2 tours in Iraq. Then came out and played soccer in Houston, women's soccer. So she's seen it from the player side. She's been a coach. She coached the Afghan women's team and was also instrumental in helping get them out of Afghanistan when the Taliban shut it down. Oh, and in between all of that, she did her law degree. So she's a pretty amazing person. And she's come in with lots of new ideas and ways that we can engage with the community. And one of the kind of first things that we've done, we've put together a collective, leaders in this community in Orlando, with the idea that they will become mentors, advocates, someone who, remember, players finish in their 30s. There's a whole other career that's going to come up for them. And so we want them to be able to have this network of people, go job shadow, go visit somewhere, have some of these women come to training and maybe do a little half-hour talk on what their job is and what it involves and how they got involved in it. So I'm really excited this year that we are, you know, kind of taking things a step further and really kind of helping ingrain these amazing athletes into our Orlando community and Central Florida community.
My final question for Kay was, what makes soccer such an amazing sport? Why is it this great unifier, not only of our community, but elsewhere?
So one of the things I would say is, if you've never been to a game, please come check us out. You know, it's always a fun environment. There's always something to see. It's over in 2 hours. So people who have kids, I know it's a favorite for them. But I think one of the things I love about it the most is it's this global sport. And so you meet people from so many different backgrounds, from different cultures, from different countries. You know, players, you know, on our city team right now, I think we have representation from 13 or 14 countries. Our supporters put their country flags up in the stands so that they can look up and see where they're from. But I think for me, you know, I'm a big traveler, and everywhere I've been in the world, including, and this is one of my favorite stories, my kids and I went to Borneo one year, and as part of the trip, they offered us to stay with a tribe in the middle of the jungle. And it turned out to be an absolutely unbelievable experience for so many reasons. But one of the funnest things was that we started talking about soccer, and we obviously had a translator there. And these are people living in a longhouse. They have no electricity, they have no running water, they live by a river, they fish, they farm, they use the jungle for everything that they need. But they love soccer. And they went out to get these trophies that they'd won, and they'd been downriver on their boat and must have done some trading with a guy and been able to watch a World Cup game. So they knew Messi, they knew Beckham, like they knew some of these names. And it was just incredible to be in the middle of the jungle and be talking about soccer. So it's a global sport, and it's one of the reasons I love it. It brings people together from everywhere and every, like I say, background, culture. Doesn't matter who you are, you get judges standing next to bricklayers, and you're all part of the same tribe, and it's a great feeling.
You know, we really are all part of the same tribe, whether we're back in Borneo or right here in Orlando. I want to thank Kay for sharing her passion about soccer and creating opportunity for others. Now remember, this video series is leading up to an art exhibit on June 1st at the Mills Art Gallery, where we will explore these themes further visually. I'll be there as well as many of the people I interview. I hope you will too.